Okay, so AI. It feels like it's absolutely everywhere, doesn't it? News feeds, conversations.
Everywhere. And honestly, it can feel pretty overwhelming.
Yeah, overwhelming, maybe confusing. Lots of jargon, headlines going in all directions. If you feel that way, well, you're definitely the person we're talking to today.
That feeling is super common. And, part of the issue, as our sources point out, is that the tech industry itself isn't always great at explaining things clearly.
Right, so our mission here is let's cut through that. Cut through the hype, the jargon.
Exactly. We've looked at some really sharp analysis from AI journalists, researchers.
And we've pulled out the key things you need to know to, actually feel confident talking about this stuff.
We looked at a guide on how to discuss AI, but also at real-world impacts, policy debates,
Yeah.
some pretty concerning ethical problems too.
And we're starting right where most people are feeling a bit lost or, frankly, maybe a bit dumb when the topic comes up.
Yeah, and that's okay. Natasha Tiku at the Washington Post basically says the industry struggles with clear communication.
Yeah.
So if you're confused, you're not alone. Let's normalize that, but also let's fix it.
Okay, let's dive in. First stop,
Mhm.
the language. Because, wow, the buzzwords.
Yeah.
Hashtag decoding the language and scope of AI.
Right. Step one for confidence, get the definition straight. We need to strip away the fancy coding.
Like hallucination. Sounds dramatic.
It does, but really it's just the system making things up. Fabricating. It's not like a weird bug. It's kind of what they do sometimes based on the data.
Okay, so it makes stuff up. Simple enough. What about prompt engineers? Sounds very technical.
Sounds impressive, yeah. But fundamentally, our sources say they're just people who are good at figuring out how to phrase a question or a command to get the AI to give them what they want.
So knowing how to talk to the machine effectively.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And if you want to get a better feel for the how behind it all, the advice is to look for the less flashy explainers.
Avoid the hype video.
Yeah, maybe skip the ones with dramatic music. Think more like Computer File or IBM Technology channels. They tend to break down things like neural networks or model training in a way that's, well, less intimidating. Takes the scary edge off.
Good tip. Okay, so we demystify the terms. What's next? Specificity, right? This idea that AI isn't just one single thing.
Crucial point. Karen Howe at the Wall Street Journal really stresses this. We say AI like it's monolithic, but it's actually, hundreds of different tools and techniques.
So you need to be more specific.
Absolutely. Otherwise, the conversation just gets muddy. Are we talking about language models like ChatGPT, that's natural language processing, NLP?
Okay, NLP for language.
Or are we talking about AI that, recognizes faces in photos or identifies objects? That's computer vision. Totally different.
Right, or even a very specific application like using AI to help detect cancer on scans.
Exactly. And lumping all that together under AI, it doesn't work. The risks of a language model are way different from an image recognition system. You lose all the nuance.
Okay, so be specific. And the next big piece of advice seems to be skepticism.
Healthy skepticism, yes. Always. James Vincent at The Verge puts it simply, ask two questions about any new AI tool.
Which are?
What does it actually do? And how does it do it?
Focus on the reality, not the hype.
Precisely. It's so easy to get sidetracked by these far-off predictions or disaster scenarios. Let's talk about what the tool can and can't do right now.
And this is where we need to be extra skeptical about AGI, artificial general intelligence.
Oh yeah, AGI. The idea of software that's as smart as a person or smarter.
Just sci-fi stuff.
Pretty much.
Ah.
The sources basically say, look, if someone's pitching AGI, especially if they're looking for money, and it sounds like bad science fiction, treat it like bad science fiction.
So don't buy the hype that we're about to have HAL 9000.
Not yet, anyway. The tech world loves to overpromise. It's better to focus on the real impacts, good and bad, that we're seeing today. AGI talk can often be a distraction.
But isn't the pursuit of AGI, like the billions being poured into it, part of the story, even if we doubt the claims?
That's a fair point. And yes, we should talk about it, but frame it correctly. Talk about the money, the ambition, the race for funding.
Not necessarily the imminent arrival of superintelligence.
Exactly. Treat the AGI claims more as a symptom of the investment frenzy, not necessarily a reflection of actual current capability. It keeps the focus on the humans driving it. #tag correcting core misconceptions about AI function.
Okay, that framing helps. And it leads nicely into understanding how these things actually work. Adjusting expectations is key.
Totally key. And this brings us right back to hallucination, making stuff up. It's not a bug. It's part of the design.
How so?
This is maybe the most important takeaway. Mahmoud Amergia at the FT really emphasizes this. Large language models are not search engines. They aren't built to look up the single right answer.
But that's how we tend to use them, isn't it? Like asking Google a question.
We do, and that's where the problems start, because fundamentally, they are predictive systems. They work on probability.
Probably.
Yeah. Based on all the text they were trained on, they predict the most likely next word in a sentence. Then the next, then the next. They're built to sound fluent and coherent, like human language.
So they're like autocomplete on steroids.
That's a great way to put it. Super sophisticated prediction machines. But their goal is to generate statistically likely text, not necessarily factually accurate text.
Ah, okay. So if the most likely sequence of words happens to describe a fake legal case or a non-existent historical event.
It'll output it. Because it sounds plausible based on the patterns it learned. It optimizes for sounding right, not being right.
That is a massive distinction.
It changes everything. Once you grasp that, you realize you should always assume they might be inaccurate or just making things up.
Yeah.
You wouldn't use a prediction machine for critical medical advice, right?
Definitely not. Okay, which leads perfectly into the next big pitfall. Anthropomorphism. Treating the AI like it's human.
Yes, we have to resist this. It clouds judgment, creates false ideas about what the AI can do, whether it thinks or feels.
So practical advice.
The rule is simple. No gendered pronouns. Don't say he or she. Don't say the AI believes or feels or wants anything. It's code.
Because when the text sounds so human, it's really easy to slip into thinking you're talking to someone, not just interacting with a program.
Exactly. It masks the mechanical reality. There's a great little trick our sources suggest for catching yourself or analyzing headlines.
Oh, yeah. What's the trick?
Try replacing the word AI with a computer program.
Okay.
So if a headline says, AI predicts market crash, read it as, a computer program predicts market crash.
Yeah, that lands differently. Or that weird story, AI tells man to divorce his wife.
Becomes a computer program told a man to divorce his wife. It instantly highlights the absurdity of attributing human-like agency or judgment. It's just code and data spitting out an output.
That's actually really effective. It grounds it back in reality.
It does. And finally, on this functional point, just please, no robots.
Ditch the Terminator image.
Yes. Forget the scary, laser-eyed robots. AI, at its core, is software. It's computer programming built by humans using huge data sets and lots of processing power with clever algorithms. It's math, not magic.
Okay, so understanding the mechanics helps us avoid treating it like a person, which is important because the real issues aren't about sentient machines, but about, well, people and power.
Exactly. Now we shift from the code itself to the context. Who builds it? Who controls it? Who benefits?
And power comes into play with the basic ingredients, right? Corey Johnson points this out. You need massive computing power, huge data sets. That costs money.
A lot of money. Billions. So right away, there's a power imbalance. Who can afford to build these foundational models?
Big tech companies, mostly. Governments.
Right. And it's also about who gets the fancy degrees, who's actually in the room when the models are designed. That shapes what gets built and for whom. It's inherently political.
So the AI conversation is often really about economics and influence, not just tech specs.
Very often. But okay, let's not paint it all as negative. There's incredible potential too, real bright spots.
Like the antibiotic discovery.
Yeah, that MIT and McMaster University research using AI to find a new antibiotic for a nasty drug-resistant hospital bug. That's huge.
And the key there was speed.
Exactly. Finding new antibiotics traditionally takes ages, tons of trial and error. AI crunched through possibilities exponentially faster. That's AI speeding up science in a way that could save lives. That's the promise.
But then, almost immediately, we run into friction when we talk about governing this stuff. Regulation.
Always. Look at the spat with Sam Altman from OpenAI threatening to pull out of the EU over their AI Act.
Right, he said the rules might be too tough to comply with technically. That sounded serious.
It did, leaving the EU market. Big deal. And the EU AI Act is ambitious. It tries to classify AI by risk, demands transparencies, especially for high-risk uses like in hiring or infrastructure. It's setting a global benchmark.
So could a company like OpenAI actually walk away if the transparency rules are too strict?
Well, history suggests probably not. Big tech often makes these kinds of threats when facing new regulations, like GDPR for privacy.
It's more like a negotiation tactic.
Likely, yeah. Losing access to the entire EU market is usually too big a financial hit. They'll probably find a way to comply, maybe grumbling the whole time. But it shows the tension. Innovation speed versus safety guardrails.
Okay, so we've got life-saving potential, we've got policy fights, but we also have to talk about the dark side, the immediate ethical problems.
We do. And they're serious. Generative AI making it super easy to create harmful stuff online. That's happening now.
Like fake news sites.
Fake news on steroids. And the platforms, honestly, are still struggling to catch and label this stuff effectively. The tools are getting better theoretically, but the problem persists.
And the sources point to something even more disturbing. The use of generative AI for creating fake child sexual abuse material, CSAM.
Yes. This is horrifying, and it's a direct result of rolling out powerful image generation tools with safeguards that are, well, clearly not good enough. They're porous, people figure out how to bypass them.
Yeah.
This isn't some future risk, it's happening.
And the industry's response to these kinds of harms is revealing.
It is. When you look at the documented cuts to trust and safety teams, AI ethics teams, across major players, Meta, Amazon, Google, Twitter, X, it's stark.
Meta axing a fact-checking project they'd spent months on?
Exactly. These companies talk a big game about safety and ethics, especially when launching new models. But the reporting shows that when budgets get tight, those ethics and safety teams are often seen as
Expendable.
expensive and expendable. The race to deploy the next powerful model seems to consistently trump robust safety oversight. Hashtag tag outro.
Wow. Okay, so pulling all this together, if you've stuck with us, you should feel much better equipped now.
Hopefully. The key takeaway is really, be specific. Don't just say AI. Know what function you're actually talking about.
Be skeptical, especially of the big sci-fi claims like AGI. Ask what it really does now.
And use that computer program test. It helps strip away the anthropomorphism, keeps it grounded.
You know now that language models predict they don't necessarily know truth. And you've seen the contrast AI finding life-saving drugs.
While also being misused for horrific things like CSAM generation. Partly because the companies building it are cutting the very teams meant to prevent such harms.
That contrast is really something. It leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it?
I think so. When you see the next AI breakthrough headline or the next argument about regulation.
Ask yourself this. As AI gets more powerful, more integrated into everything, and largely controlled by a few big players, what's the real cost, the human cost, when ethical oversight, when safety is treated as optional, as expendable?
That's the question to keep asking.